I did a thing. I emailed Dr. Barkley. Yes, the Dr. Russell Barkley, to invite him on the podcast. And while he very kindly declined my interview request, as he's retired and respect where it's due, his work has already transformed how I parent. Today, I'm going to take you back to the exact moment that lecture flipped my whole perspective on ADHD. I'll also share what he recently told me in that email about a second attention disorder most people don't even know exists and why you absolutely need to. So, if you're ready, let's do this. Welcome back to Chaos and Caffeine, the ADHD parenting podcast with no judgment and a whole lot of tips, resources, experts, and the works. My name is Danielle Kelly, your ADHD parenting non-judgmental bestie. And today I'd like to paint you a picture of how my life as an ADHD parent completely changed. So let me set the scene. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a Trader Joe's. My kid has just gotten written up again at school for something I know he didn't do on purpose. Blurting out, touching a kid's backpack, forgetting a direction literally 3.2 seconds after the teacher had said what it was. And I'm sitting there scrolling on my phone like a maniac, trying to find something, anything that would make it make sense. And then I see the link. How to Parent a Child with ADHD. Dr. Russell Barkley. Watch this. So I hit play. And within the first 5 minutes, I'm frozen, like heart-pounding, jaw-clenched frozen. Dr. Barkley opens up by saying ADHD is not a behavioral disorder. It's a developmental delay of executive functioning. And I was like, wait, what? Because all anyone ever talks about is behavior. Sit still, listen better, use your coping skills, follow the rules, sticker chart, token economy, do better, try harder. But here's this man, this leading voice in ADHD research, saying, no, it's not that your kid won't, it's that their brain literally can't. Not yet. He explained that ADHD delays the development of executive functioning by 30 to 40%. So if you've got a 10-year-old with ADHD, they may function like a 6 or 7-year-old when it comes to managing time, emotions, memory, planning, motivation, all the things life demands and schools expect. And then he drops this line that hit me in the chest like a brick. They don't have a deficit of knowing what to do. They have a deficit of doing what they know. Excuse me while I sob into an Audi knockoff of Pirate's Booty. That was it. That was the line that shattered everything. I thought I understood my kid because I had seen it a million times. My son knew the rules. He could explain them, recite them, act them out with sock puppets. But in the moment when the dog barked or his classmate made a noise or someone breathed wrong, his brain would just short circuit. And there we were again in meltdown mode. I kept thinking, why can't he just do it? He knows he did it yesterday. And Dr. Barkley's like, yeah, that's ADHD. It's not about skill acquisition. It's about inconsistent performance. The brain's do it now switch is glitchy as hell. Then he said something I will never forget. ADHD is not a disorder of attention. It's a disorder of inattention. Hold up, wait, come again? He broke it down. ADHD affects your ability to hold goals in mind, resist distractions, inhibit impulses, and act with purpose over time. It's not about being distracted by squirrels. It's about the brain not being able to hold the thread long enough to act on it. And I just remember pausing the video and I stared at my steering wheel and I said out loud, holy shit, no one has ever said it like that. Not the pediatrician, not the therapist, not the occupational evaluator who gave me a PDF and a very sympathetic look. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was raising a bad kid. I felt like I was raising a neurologically immature one whose brain just needed more time, more structure, and a whole lot less shame. The light bulb didn't just go off, my friend. It completely exploded. Okay, so here's the wild thing. We'd already been through the diagnosis process. You know, forms, checklists, the usual. Does your kid fidget, forget, interrupt, climb things, lose things, breathe too loud, sort of thing. And when we finally got the ADHD diagnosis, I felt relief, but also confusion, because no one explained what it actually meant in terms of brain function. I was handed a label, not a manual. Enter Dr. Barkley. In the CADAC lecture, he breaks ADHD down to its core. It's a disorder of executive functioning, and not just the general hard time staying organized stuff people throw around casually. I'm talking about 5 very specific brain-based skill sets that are either delayed, disrupted, or basically MIA in our kids. Let's break them down mom to mom. Inhibition, also known as the stop sign that's totally missing. This is impulse control, the ability to pause, to stop yourself before doing something bananas, to think before speaking or acting. And if your kid has ADHD, that brake system, is still under construction. Dr. Barkley calls it the foundational executive function because without inhibition, the rest of the functions can't really fire effectively. A real life version, your kid knows not to throw the Nerf gun at their sister's head, but their brain goes, see Nerf, want to throw, oh crap. They're not being oppositional, they're being impulsive because the neurological pause button, baby, it isn't working yet. Next up is working memory, also known as the sticky note that won't stick. Working memory is the mental sticky note that helps you hold on to instructions, goals, or steps long enough to act on them. And let me tell you, my kids' sticky notes are flying off in a mental wind tunnel. The real life version, you say, go upstairs, get your shoes, grab your water bottle, and come back. What they hear, go upstairs, exist, forget why you're there, find a Lego, start humming, Eye of the Tiger. Their brain can't juggle multiple steps. Not because they're ignoring you, but because the information literally disappears from their mental workspace. Dr. Barkley says this is why repeating instructions or adding visual prompts isn't just helpful, it's absolutely necessary scaffolding. Self-regulation of emotions, also known as the feelings floodgates. This is the one that hit me in the gut because ADHD isn't just about focus or hyperactivity. It's deeply emotional. Our kids feel big, react fast, and have a tough time pulling themselves back from the edge. Dr. Barkley explains that kids with ADHD have a much harder time managing frustration, disappointment, or transition, even compared to neurotypical kids their age. The real life version? You say no screen time right now, and suddenly it's full DEFCON meltdown. Sobbing, yelling, maybe even kicking the couch, and you're like, girl, what just happened? But when I started seeing that as a regulation delay and not a manipulation tactic, I could stop taking it personally and start helping him ride the wave. Dr. Barkley helped me realize that when your child melts down, it's not because they're choosing to, it's because they can't self-soothe yet. Internalized speech, also known as the little voice that isn't there yet. This one blew my mind. Internal speech is your inner monologue. It's what helps you talk yourself through problems, remember the rules, narrate your decisions, and basically coach yourself through your day. And according to Dr. Barkley, kids with ADHD often have a delay in developing that internal voice, like years behind. Real life version? You say, you knew not to hit him. Why did you do it? And they look at you like, honestly, they don't know. Because the voice that should have said, hey buddy, not a great idea, just never showed up. Their brain hasn't built the self-talk system yet. So they're flying solo without an inner narrator. That's when Dr. Barkley said something that just hit. This means your child isn't ignoring you. They're not even hearing your words in the same way. That was it. That was the moment everything shifted for me. Reconstitution, also known as the plan it out and the fix it function. This is the part of executive functioning that helps kids break down problems, imagine solutions, and try different strategies when one doesn't work. Dr. Barkley calls this the ability to take in information, mentally manipulate it, and reassemble it to solve problems. Our kiddos, that's often a hard pass. The real life version, your kid spills milk, then they freak out, and then they just sit there. No plan to clean it up, no idea where to start. You're like, get a towel. And they're like, what's a towel? It's not because they're helpless. It's because their brain is glitching under stress. They can't initiate the problem-solving process or shift strategies. Okay, mamas, real talk for a second. Parenting a neurodivergent kid isn't a Pinterest board. It's a wild, wonderful, overwhelming ride. And when your kid is melting down because their cereal is too loud, or you're crying in your car Googling how to raise a kid with ADHD without losing my damn mind, you need a pro in your corner. Enter Dr. Laura, licensed psychologist, board-certified telemental health provider, and actual unicorn. She provides virtual therapy in New York, Delaware, Virginia, and Florida. But get this, even if you're outside of those states, she's got some game-changing resources for every one of us. Her children's book, How Boppy the Beagle Learned to See the Sun Behind the Clouds, helps kids understand big feelings, getting help, and how a psychologist can support them, conversation starters included. Her Behavior Change Ahead audio course, 4 hours of science-backed guidance to help you change behaviors, yours, your kids, or both, because spoiler alert, when we shift, they shift. And if college is on the horizon, her college suite of 10 workshops preps your neurodivergent teen and you for the emotional, social, and academic roller coaster. So if you're exhausted but still here fighting for your kid, check out Dr. Laura in the show notes and grab the tools that you wish came with the diagnosis. Now, let's talk about time. Okay, this one could be a whole episode by itself, but we're going there. Dr. Barkley talks about time blindness, a concept that changed my entire approach to ADHD parenting. Kids with ADHD don't just struggle with managing time. They literally experience time differently. They live in the now, as in right now. Everything else, abstract, invisible, not real yet. That's why transitions are so hard, why they procrastinate even on things they want to do. Why saying you have 10 minutes means absolutely nothing unless you're showing them the time pass. He calls it future myopia, a blindness to future consequences, even if they intentionally know they're coming. It's not a motivation problem. It's a neurological shortfall. The real life version, you say we leave in 5 minutes. Your child hears we leave someday or never. Time is a construct. Lego is eternal. This is why timers, visual schedules, alarms, and step-by-step prep routines aren't overkill. They're survival tools for an ADHD brain that can't feel the passage of time. So yeah, that lecture didn't just explain ADHD. It translated it. And for the first time, I wasn't just parenting with love, I was parenting with science. I had a map. And my kid, he finally had a mom who got it. Okay, so I know he said he was retired. I know that, but I couldn't help myself. I had to ask the question. I needed to know if anything had shifted in his thinking since that lecture, because it had wrecked me in the best, most clarifying, most transformational way. So I sent the email. Here's a little bit of what I wrote. Dear Dr. Barkley, thank you so much for your response, and I truly hope you're enjoying your well-deserved retirement. If you ever change your mind down the road, I just want you to know that your CADAC lecture quite literally changed my life. I've shared it with countless ADHD parents over the years, and it continues to be one of the most powerful resources I recommend. I would love to know, purely out of curiosity, if anything has shifted in your thinking since that masterclass, or what you feel we, as parents and professionals, could be doing better. Your work has built the foundation that so many of us stand on, and I'm deeply grateful for it. Wishing you all the best in this next chapter. Daniel. And then, girl, the next day, he wrote me back. He said, no, not really. Subsequent research has helped to refine our understanding of the topics I covered and better support them with evidence. Nothing has overturned or proven incorrect to my knowledge. That right there, I found that weirdly comforting. Like the science is still holding up, the foundation hasn't cracked. But then he said something else, something I had never heard before. Also, we've discovered a second attention disorder that overlaps with ADHD, yet can be independent of it. It is often misdiagnosed as ADHD inattentive presentation, as there is no official place yet for it in the DSM. See my lecture on cognitive disengagement syndrome. Hold up, wait, what? Another attention disorder? One that looks like ADHD inattentive but isn't? So I immediately paused, pulled up the lecture, and fell face first into a rabbit hole of slides, citations, and cognitive spaghetti. Because if your kid is struggling to stay focused, constantly zoning out, or seems lost in thought more than they're bouncing off the walls, well, you need to hear what we're about to dive into. Okay, so let's talk about the curveball Dr. Barkley threw at me in his email. This thing called cognitive disengagement syndrome, or CDS. It used to be called sluggish cognitive tempo, which honestly seems like something a sleepy sloth would get diagnosed with after a long nap. Not helpful, so thank God they renamed it. Here's the deal. CDS is a separate attention disorder, different from ADHD, but it overlaps enough that kids often get misdiagnosed, especially our daydreamers, our quiet kids, the ones who aren't bouncing off the walls or melting down in the cereal aisle. They're just kind of off in their own world. I believe this is what I was whenever I was a kid. I was always labeled the daydreamer, and that I was often thinking not on what we were supposed to be paying attention to in class. So what does CDS actually look like? Plain English breakdown. Your kid stares out the window mid-sentence. They look like they're listening, but nothing lands. They move slow, like their brain is buffering. They're constantly described as spacey, unmotivated, or even lazy. They're not impulsive. They're not hyper. They're just disconnected. When I first heard this, I thought, oh my God, this is me as a kid. This is also half the messages in my inbox from moms who say, I don't know, it's just not adding up. Here's why this really matters for ADHD parents. These kids often get labeled with inattentive ADHD, but the treatments don't work the same. Behavioral charts, useless. Stimulant meds, sometimes they make things worse. And the worst part, these kids are often seen as lazy, like they're not even trying, when in reality, they're trying so hard just to stay connected to the moment. I had a mom message me after one of my podcast episodes and say something like, I thought my son was just unmotivated. He's been getting detention for not paying attention, but he literally can't remember what he's supposed to be doing 5 seconds after the instructions. That's not willful defiance. That could be CDS. That sounds like a brain that's lagging behind the conversation. If you're sitting there thinking, my kid has ADHD, but not really, like it doesn't quite fit. Like they're not forgetful because they're impulsive. They're forgetful because they were never fully present to begin with. Yeah, you, my friend, might need to look into CDS. And you're not crazy. You're not overthinking it. You're noticing a pattern that's been missed by a lot of clinicians, teachers, and even parents, because CDS isn't formally recognized in the DSM yet. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. Dr. Barkley and other researchers are studying the hell out of it, and honestly, it's giving a lot of parents the missing puzzle piece they've been looking for. If you want to go deeper, and I highly recommend you do, homie, search Dr. Barkley Cognitive Disengagement Syndrome on YouTube. The lecture is dense, but so worth it. Put it on while folding the laundry and prepare to pause every 2 minutes because your brain is literally exploding. CDS isn't a footnote. It's a whole chapter that's just starting to be written. And if your kid fits this profile, you're not behind. You're ahead of the curve for even noticing. Is your next step on the ADHD parenting journey treatment, but you're feeling a little apprehensive? You, my friend, are not alone. So many of us want options that are science-backed and parent-approved. Meet Dr. Richard Boles, geneticist, ADHD dad, and creator of NeuroNeeds. When his own son was struggling, he created a powerful all-natural supplement that helped his son get off stimulant meds completely and thrive all the way to college. It's called NeuroNeeds, and it's packed with exactly what ADHD brains need to function, focus, and regulate without the side effects. If you're curious, hit the link in the show notes to check it out. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter while you're there, because right now, NeuroNeeds is doing us a solid by giving away a free brain bundle, and all you have to do to be considered is to sign up for the newsletter. Because you deserve science you can trust and support you can feel. Coming up next, what we actually do with this information, especially if you're navigating school, IEPs, medication confusion, or just want your kid to feel sane again. I didn't just hear Dr. Barkley's lectures, I felt them like they hit me square in the chest and knocked the wind out of all the Pinterest-fueled parenting pressure I had piled up for years. I stopped punishing my child for executive function deficits that weren't his fault, that were never his fault. I mean, would we punish a toddler for not knowing algebra? No. But we expect kids with ADHD to operate like many adults in environments built for neurotypical brains, and then wonder why everybody's melting down. So I changed how I parent. I swapped out consequences for scaffolding. Timers on literally every surface. Step-by-step checklist taped to the bathroom mirror. Body doubling so he wouldn't feel lost starting task alone. And no, it wasn't magical, but it was progress. I walked into the school meeting with a whole new vibe. I'm not talking about asking for special treatment. I'm asking for developmentally appropriate support for a child who has a documented 30 to 40% delay in executive functioning. This is science, homie, not opinion. I stopped yelling, "Why can't you just do it?" and started asking, where is this breaking down for you? Where is this breaking down for him? Because the truth is, our kids want to succeed. But if we don't teach them the skills, scaffold the structure, and regulate ourselves in the hard moments, we lose them. And maybe most important of all, I started parenting the brain he has, not the brain I thought he should have. I stopped trying to get my son to act like a 10-year-old when his brain was functioning like a 6-year-old in key areas. That changed everything, baby. If this is the first time you're hearing any of this, you might be feeling what I felt. Overwhelmed, raw, relieved, mad even. Maybe you're crying in the minivan right now, like I was. Let me say this clearly. You're not failing. You're parenting a child whose brain requires more intentional design. Behavior is communication, and sometimes it's not bad behavior. It's a brain screaming, "Help me regulate." You don't need more sticker charts. You need more information, more compassion, and more support. Don't let Pinterest parenting, school policies, or Karen from the PTA convince you you're doing it wrong. You are the perfect parent for your child. Not because it's easy, but because you're showing up, and that counts for far more than you know. So here's what to do next. Watch the lecture. Let Dr. Barkley blow your damn mind like he has mine multiple times now. If your child doesn't seem to fit the usual ADHD profile, definitely look into cognitive disengagement syndrome. And most importantly, send this episode to the friend you cried with after the IEP meeting. The one who gets it, the one who's in the thick of it too. Dr. Barkley may not have been on this episode, but his voice echoes through every parenting decision I make now. And if it gave you the same gut punch clarity, I hope you'll pass it on, because the more we talk about the real science of ADHD, the fewer parents feel broken in the process. Until next time, refill your coffee and know this: your child isn't giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And you're doing better than you think. This is Chaos and Caffeine. Let's rewrite this ADHD parenting playbook together.